Are you curious to understand if that confusing and often elusive avoidant ex of yours is gearing up for a comeback into your life? Well, if you're curious and you're looking for the unmistakable signs that this, in fact, may be about to happen, in this video, we are going to go through exactly that. We will do a deep dive into the avoidant psyche and their frame of mind when they start potentially reaching back out again in some forms. And we'll talk about the unmistakable signals that they may be moving back in to try to re engage with you. And if you stick around to the end of this video, not only will I equip you with tools to decipher whether or not your avoidant ex is truly ready to actually reconnect in a way that's meaningful and makes sense in a healthy form, but also we'll talk about three major things you can do that are extremely important if you are considering re-engaging with them. Now, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I'm so happy you stopped by. My name is Gibson, and I put daily videos out here on my channel all about personal development, attachment theory, and how we can really build the best relationships of our life. So, what we're going to go through is five major signs, and we'll start with the small signs about where an avoidant may be considering reconnecting in different ways and why they may be approaching the relationship in the way that they do. And then we'll go into, again, what you can really do at the end. So, the very first thing that you'll generally see, and we'll talk about these signs sort of in escalating order, is you'll tend to see that an avoidant X will re engage or resurface. Okay. And this is really step one. And this will be that sort of introductory period that they try to reconnect in various forms. And you'll see things like engaging on social media, potentially liking your posts, maybe sending kind of indirect text messages, things like memes or sharing an old inside joke. And it is in this step one, the re engaging or resurfacing phase, that they are usually trying to see if there's something still there without having to deal with their own fears of being vulnerable. Now, I want to be really clear here. There can be other reasons that an avoidant X may re engage or resurface, things like just wanting validation or attention in some form. But it's really in these proceeding steps that we'll be able to differentiate unmistakably the difference between somebody maybe just reconnecting for attention or, trying to see if you're still there in some way and just seeking that comfort or familiarity or validation versus actually potentially trying to make a relationship work. Number two, you'll generally next see increased signs of communication. So, this won't just be these indirect things that happen once a week or every couple of weeks. No, you'll see that not only is there a little bit more of a deeper conversation being escalated towards, where they actually share things about their life or ask you more personal questions about your life, but they're basically clearly making an effort to connect. So in this increased communication stage, you'll see that not only is there, an effort towards more frequency of communication, but there's also more of an effort really focused on deeper communication. You can see the avoidant attachment style actually making an effort to connect, even if it's something that they tend to feel uncomfortable with. Now, I do want to share a quick reminder here before I go into the next three important pieces. And then the really important three things that we can do, and it's that we have a site wide 14-day free trial to our entire program at the Personal Development School. And if you do want to check out fully for free, because it's literally on just once a year for Mental Health Month of May, if you want to check out fully free access to this kind of material, I would actually go into the How to Repair Any Relationship course. And it talks about how to repair any relationship and also how to vet if it's a healthy relationship with specifically each attachment style. So you can use the link down below for that. Now, number three here is we'll see that not only is there this resurfacing and re-engaging and this increased communication, especially in terms of the depth and trying to reconnect, but number three, you'll see consistent effort. This is where we really start moving out of this curiosity stage and moving into this stage of, you know what, this isn't just like a resurfacing for attention or for comfort or familiarity, but obviously this person's making an actual effort here. And this will be things like most days of the week. The avoidant attachment style actually reaches out and initiates contact. I want to be really clear here. If you are the one consistently reaching out and they're responding, yes, that's a good sign too. But to be perfectly honest, if I was ever thinking of getting back together with somebody who had a different attachment style than me and I know had some work to do in a relationship, I would absolutely be making sure that I am seeing that person take the initiative and have a great degree of certainty before even thinking of reinvesting in that kind of relationship with an ex. And I generally don't believe in, because statistically, when I ran client practice and even in the personal development school, I don't believe in breaking up and getting back together multiple times. I tend to think, okay, if there's a breakup and there's one time that you get back together, sure, give it another fair shot. But if there's this ongoing cycle or history, it can be much more difficult statistically to see a beneficial outcome. So, anyways, we'll talk about what you can do at the end in detail. But number four, is you'll see that the avoidant attachment style begins to express regret about past mistakes. So you'll see here that there's actually this point of self reflection, insinuating that they are growing or changing or willing or open to grow and change, and that things can actually be different. And I really do believe that people change, they evolve, they grow, but it doesn't happen overnight. It's with concerted and consistent effort. And so you would be really looking for, in this particular case, am I seeing that concerted and consistent effort? And then number five, increase discussions about the future, or even going so far as to outright communicate that they do miss you and would be open to trying again. Now, I think a lot of people have this misconception or idea that avoidant attachment styles, they never will be the ones to initiate because they don't like vulnerability. And they really don't like vulnerability. And yes, they are less likely to do this. But if you're making sure that you're clear on your standards and your needs, and you're not going to budge unless you see some of these things and you let that be known, we will see an avoidant attachment style who really wants to be in a relationship make this kind of concerted effort. And it may not be that they're actively like in therapy, but they may actually be reading books, trying to shape their behaviors differently, reflecting, communicating differently. And this brings us to these three things that you want to know and remember that are so super important. Number one, if you are considering getting back together with somebody who's an ex, I absolutely believe in actions over words. Somebody can tell you that they want to change or tell you that they want to improve how they communicate or how they show up, but you need to see the actual actions match those words. And sometimes we can fall into the trap of dating somebody's potential and hoping, for example, that this person, because they're saying they want to change or they're saying that they want to make an effort, that they will turn around and do that, but you need to see it. So that's number one thing to really pay attention to. Number two, there needs to be a sense of certainty, both for you and from that person. The person can't be wishy washy if you're going to consider reopening your heart to somebody where something didn't work out in the past. It can't be like, oh, maybe. And then you find yourself in the space of chasing this person, especially and particularly if they were the one that left the relationship. They just inevitably, because were the one that departed, they need to be the one making more of that effort to come back into your life so that you know that that's a safe bet for you to make. And so, in this case, when we look at this idea of certainty, you want to see that certainty coming from them, but you also need to create your own certainty if you're thinking of getting back together with an ex. And the best way to do this is to set a deadline. Decide how long you'll actually consider reinvesting and make it like you're dating that person again. You're vetting them. You're looking to see if their actions line up with their words. And the reason we set a deadline is that gets us out of staying in this gray area forever where we think, yeah, let's just see how it goes. I think their actions are improving. And then 5 years later, you find yourself still stuck in some gray area where things hadn't been working the way you initially wanted them to. So we set a deadline of like a month, 3 months, somewhere in that range, depending, of course, on multiple factors, including the length of your relationship. And it's within that deadline period of time that you can decide, is this needle moving? Am I seeing the things that I would need to see to know that this is a safe bet for me to be making? And last but not least, we need a real conversation about what wasn't working in the past and what we can do differently this time around, where both parties are willing to take accountability for what wasn't working for them. And then both parties are also willing to invest in, like we talked about earlier, very decisive action to help improve the things that were causing detriments to the relationship. So, for example, if somebody was very critical all the time, being more mindful about how they communicate their needs rather than criticizing, working to do something like positive framing. Hey, I would love for us to spend more time together instead of you never spend enough time with me, right? Positive framing makes a big difference. So we'd be looking for something that demonstrates that action. And if somebody was, not making an effort in a relationship, we would need to see actions where that person is clearly initiating time being spent together, time, texting or being on the phone or whatever it is. But that's up to you to really decide what wasn't working and what we would need to see in terms of an improvement and to action that out accordingly. So, in summary, 5 big signs the avoidant X may be coming back. 3 really important things that you want to make sure you're working on. And last but not least, if you want to check out that full 14-day trial to the course, How to Repair Any Relationship, but also to all courses at the Personal Development School, we're just running this for 14 days during Mental Health Month in May here. So, check it out. Link is down below. Thank you so much for stopping by and for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. And I can't wait to see you in future videos.